I don't like being average. I like to stand out. But how am I supposed to know if I stand out if I don't know anything about any other Bloxburg players? Which is why I put out a survey to find out about you guys. And by the end of this video, we'll find out if you're average, but more importantly, if I'm average. Because really, I did this for me. Welcome to Bloxburg census. If you remember doing something like this in the past, then congratulations, oh my god. So this is the survey. If you remember doing something like this in the past, then congratulations, your results are in this video. Although the one that you did was probably blue, well actually most definitely blue. The reason I just made it brown is so that it matched the PowerPoint. That's the only reason. So if you did the survey, I now have your information. Well, I don't. It's anonymous. So this form was open from September 12th to October 2nd, a total of 20 days. And over these 20 days, I got a wonderful 741 responses. A lot more than I thought I was gonna get. Because I've wanted to do this video for a very long time. The problem is that I was scared that I wasn't gonna get enough responses. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm only gonna get 50. I'm gonna look like the biggest idiot in the world. I can't do this. So I just like stalling. And a month ago, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna put it out. If I don't get enough responses, then I'm just not gonna do the video. But you know, you guys really came through. And when I mean you guys, I mean Reddit. Because when I posted this on Reddit, out of 741 responses, 350, maybe even 400 of them came from Reddit alone. So thank you. Which is crazy because I didn't even originally wanted to post it on Reddit. And then also I want to do this every year in the future just because it's fun and I want to see if the results are different. Oh, okay, I have disclaimers. This survey is nowhere near conclusive. Chances are most of the data, most of the results from this video is not representative whatsoever of the actual data of all Bloxburg players. And a lot of this is because of response bias. Basically, liars and lazy people. People could have lied about the answers, and also, especially younger kids, they could have just saw one look at the survey and thought, too much work, and not do it. And also, because a lot of people that did the survey are my viewers, or hardcore fans, because I posted it on Reddit. And if you're on Reddit, I've said this before, but if you are on a Bloxburg Reddit, you're probably pretty invested in Bloxburg to be on other social medias about Bloxburg. And so not only are you most likely a hardcore fan if you're from Reddit, but you're probably also relatively older because you're probably like 16 plus if you're using Reddit. I also want to say, I got 700 responses. 300 of them came from the first day because I posted on Reddit day 1 and overnight I got like 300 responses. I also posted it on YouTube, Discord, Instagram, and Twitter. When I post these, they're on my YouTube, my Discord, my Instagram, and my Twitter, meaning people who saw this survey are most likely my viewers, and I mainly do building content, so they're probably also mainly builders. So like some 9-year-old girl, Isabella, who hops on Roblox for 1 hour to roleplay with their cousin Layla for the 1 hour screen time that they get, they're not gonna be doing the survey. And so because of all that, it's just for funsies. And oh yeah, before we get started, subscribe. So first, let's look at the demographics. Who plays Bloxburg? How old are they? Where are they from? Gender? Like that kind of stuff. So first I asked people how old they are, which I already had a guess before this form of how old I think most people who play Bloxburg are. Because most people who watch my videos are like middle schoolers, 11 to 13 year olds. So that's what I was expecting here. Well, not like most people, but if we had a pie chart of all the ages, like all the age ranges, 11 to 13 year olds, they would take most of, or like they have the biggest chunk of the pie chart. Boy, was I wrong. Because not only is 11 to 13 year olds not first, they're not second, they are third. There's no way only 21% of players are 11 to 13 year olds. There's no way. I also don't think that 75% of people are 14 plus. Because half of my responses were from Reddit, which a lot of people from Reddit were 18 plus, and most people who use Reddit are teenagers. This makes sense for the purpose of my form. And then all the 11 to 13 year olds and 10 or under, they probably came from YouTube community posts. And for gender, Bloxburg is predominantly a female game. And I know that most of my viewers, like 75% of my viewers, are female. So that's what I was expecting with this form, is majority female. This time, I was right. I don't know the exact female to male ratio of Bloxburg players. I know that my viewers is like 70% female, but also my viewers isn't representative of Bloxburg. So I don't know. This sounds reasonable to me, like 57%, 34%. And then we have 4.2% non-binary, and then 3.8% prefer not to say. According to the world, 3% of people are non-binary, and this is 4.2%, which like 3% and 4%, pretty close. So I don't think there's a correlation between non-binary people and gamers. Next, I asked the pronouns. A lot of she, hers, and he, hims, which obviously is expected. Any, all, she, they, he, they, them, like they're all about the same. And then we have 9 people that go by other. Sexual orientation. A lot of straights, which statistically speaking is also quite expected. More bis than I was expecting, because only 4% of the world is bi, and this is 15%. So maybe this one does have a correlation. Maybe bis and gamers, there is a correlation. Gamers are more likely to be bi. Not a lot of queers. I feel like we need more queers in the house. And then I asked you guys where you guys are from, which all my posts that I did were in English. With that being said, reasonably so, a lot of people are from US and UK. But also on top of that, there is 100 plus other countries that there's just no way I can, see it. So the rest of the mess, which I just want some credit for myself. It took a long time to color coordinate all these 100 other countries to match the theme of my presentation. But actually, I'm one step ahead of you. There is no way I'm just gonna let US and UK take over my presentation. I made a different graph. This graph is the 2nd to 19th most popular countries of the people who did my form. I took US away from it because 47%, like that's just gonna take over the entire pie chart. So this is 2nd to 19th. And obviously the largest chunk is UK, which this 27.9%, that doesn't actually mean that 27.9% of the people who did the form are from the UK. That's just out of these 18 countries. And then Canada is 2nd, Australia 3rd, which makes sense because these are all English speaking countries. When I was making this, I was actually very surprised because I wasn't expecting much people from Norway, Netherlands, Pakistan, Poland, Philippines, Romania, South Africa, Sweden, for those people to play Bloxburg. I also want to mention the one single brave soul from the following countries to be the single one to represent their country in my form. And so if you did my form and you're from Albania, okay, I think you're lying, but someone said Antarctica, Botswana, Burma, I don't even know that's a country. Cook Islands, which I also didn't know was a country. Okay, this next one's French, I think. I don't speak French, so Delavore, Croatia, Cuba, Djibouti, Dominican Republic, Guatemala, Greenland, Guemzi. Where's Guemzi? I feel like I'm pronouncing these all wrong. Honduras, Iceland, Iraq, South Korea, Kuwait, Lebanon, Lithuania, Moldova, Mozambique, Syria, Taiwan, and Tunisia. Thank you for representing your country. Because most of the people said they're from US, I asked people what state they're from, which only 333 people said they're from US, yet I had 350 responses, so at least 17 of you are lying. A lot from California, which if you think I'm writing all the percentages and all the counts and whoever was from which state, you have lost your mind. I am not writing that 50 times. But I will say, these ones, this means 1, this means 2, this means 3, this means 4, this probably means 5 or 6, I don't know, and you can count the rest of them. What is absolutely crazy, just bonkers to me, is how there's more Georgians than New Yorkers. Who lives in Georgia? What is in Georgia? Like, if you're living in Georgia, might as well live in Florida. Or just not right now, because there's a hurricane. Maybe, oh my gosh, maybe you live in Georgia because you want to go to Florida, to go to like everything that Florida has, but also you don't want to experience the hurricanes. Oh my god, I'm the genius. I figured it out. You know what, Georgia, you're actually geniuses. But also Florida's long, and Orlando's like in the middle, so you have to drive like 4 or 5 hours-ish to get to Orlando, to get to the Disneys of the world. I don't know, whatever. Georgia sucks. While doing this, I also researched the most populated states. And number 1, we have California, which makes sense because California's first. Number 2 most populated is Texas, which Texas is second. Number 3 is Florida. Florida's third. We're on a streak right now. Number 4, however, is not Georgia. Obviously, who lives in Georgia? Number 4 is actually New York. Number 5 is Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is all the way down here. And if you're asking where Georgia is not until number 8. And what's crazy to me? Illinois is 6. Illinois in my chart is not all the way until down here. So I don't know where all the Illinois people are, but you're not representing your state very well. And everything else is pretty aligned with where their actual state population is. Ohio is number 7. In my form, it's number 6. So to all the people in Ohio, Ohioans, Ohioers, I feel like you get way too much hate. So to all the Ohioans out there, I hope you're doing good. Everyone else, I hope you have the day you deserve. And for counting all these states, and you're wondering to yourself, this is not 50 states. We're missing some states. Where's my state? Let me tell you, because out of a whopping 350 people, not one person, not one soul decides that they want to live in Delaware, Montana, Oklahoma, Wyoming, and DC. We have Rhode Island, but we don't have Delaware and Wyoming's, which I don't know what's in Delaware, Montana, Oklahoma, and Wyoming. So it makes sense that no one's living there because I think those are the 4 least populated states. And if you're watching this video and you live in these 4 states, I hope that you move out or at least want to move out Because look, I've never been to these 4 states, but I know nothing is there because I don't want to go. So now that we have the demographics out of the way, now we ask people about Bloxburg. Number 1, I asked, do you play Bloxburg? Just to make sure, because even though I posted on the Bloxburg Reddit and my social media, which is mainly Bloxburg, I still asked it just to make sure. And most of you did in fact say yes. However, 1% of you said no. And 1% of you said Bloxburg's stupid. Okay, moving on. How long have you been playing Bloxburg? Bloxburg has been public for a wonderful 8 years, but most people have only been playing Bloxburg for 2 to 4. 50% 2 to 4, 40% 5 to 8, and then we have 73 little babies who have only been playing for less than a year. To be fair, before Bloxburg went free, this number would probably been even lower. Probably most of these players are because Bloxburg went free. And so now that we know how long people have been playing Bloxburg, I asked how long they spend on Bloxburg weekly. Like, how many hours would you say you were spending on Bloxburg in a week? And a lot of people were quite reasonable with their end. I'm talking the 1 to 3 hours, the 4 to 6 hours of the world, which this makes a lot of sense. I guess less than 1 hour makes sense too, because that means like you're going outside, or you have at least variation in your gaming if you're gaming a lot. The 7 to 10 plus hours, you're probably builders, because building takes a long time. I don't know how long I spent on Bloxburg, because sometimes it's 0. Like 1 week it could be 0, and then next week it's like 24. Because I'm building something and I'm like building all week. So mine varies way too much, like I don't even know. And so people spend hours on Bloxburg. But what are they spending it on? So this is the distribution of time, how you're spending your time in Bloxburg. How much of your time are you spending on building, role-playing, and working? And so for building, most people spend 60 to 70% of the time building. Which when I say most people, I mean, 16%, which is not a lot. But like around 50 to 80%. So most of their time is spent building. And very little people are not spending much time building. But also, very little people are spending 90 to 100% of the time building. I just know if you're part of these 46%, you are goated, absolutely goated at building. I wish you teach me. But also, if you're building, you need money. So how much time are you spending working? Clearly not much. Only 11 to 40%. And to the 18% of you is spending 90 to 100% of the time working. Why? What are you doing with your money? If you're just spending 90 to 100% of the time working, just for the sake of working, you're gonna grow up to be a workaholic, which is no good. Money is great, but family and life is also great. So you gotta sort things out. And let's look at the role players, because I made a video saying why no one role plays anymore. So let's see if it's true. And clearly, I was very, very right. 65% of you spend 0 to 10% role playing, which I am also very proudly a part of this 0 to 10% role playing. I saw a comment on the video why no one role plays anymore, telling me, if you want more people to roleplay, then maybe you should roleplay. I don't care if Bloxburg is a roleplay game or not, because I just built. Regardless of whether roleplaying was a thing back then, I have never roleplayed. So I don't care if people roleplay. However, I know a lot of people do want to roleplay and want Bloxburg to be a roleplay game again. And so I am extremely lucky to have the voice and the following that I have, and so I'm using that to promote it and raise the issue. Me personally, I don't care. And obviously most of you don't care as well. Probably because you're my viewer, and so you also play Bloxburg to build. So because a lot of people build, what do you build? What are you building? 90% of people say that they build residentials. And also people can select multiple options so that they can build like residentials and also towns and restaurants and whatever. And that exceeds by a landslide. Most people will build residentials and everything else is just kind of hanging out down here. Commercial buildings, that is like the restaurants, the cafes, the salons, like anything that has customers, that's a commercial building. Multiple buildings, that's like towns, neighborhoods, townhouses, that's like a multiple buildings. I didn't know how to describe that. Like whenever I did the form, I had examples, so people knew. Outdoor public places, that is like parks and just parks. I can't think of anything else, but you know what I mean, like parks. Custom builds, that is like the airplanes and the private jets and the boats and the ships and the cruises of Bloxburg. Like the crazy basic shape structural builds. And 17% of you are that investment building. I wish I could. And 26 of you decide that they don't build. Okay, well, this is the most important one because this talks about the money and the Blox boxes. There's a lot of variation in Bloxburg cash. Most people, or not most people, 17% of you have 200 to 500k. But then the next one is 0 to 50k. And then the next one is 1 million to 3 million. So there's just, it's like basically everywhere. And then 20% of you just could not care less, couldn't even make a guess about what kind of money they have and just decided they had no clue. Bloxburg. This is also quite variable. 19% have 51 to 200 Bloxburg, which is not a lot. Okay, most people had under 5,000, but also, well, a lot of you have like in the thousands. I know I'm between 1,000 and 5,000. I think I might be at 3,000. I don't know. I'm somewhere here. To the 41 of you that have over 5,000 Bloxburg, where are you getting this from? Because Bloxburg's not easy to get. So where are you getting this? Unless you're just like in every single event. So now that we know how much money people have, let's look at their overall job level experience. It's a little disappointing. The second most popular answer is that you guys have no clue. How? No way. Because you guys clearly care about money. My most viewed video on my channel is about making money. You guys loved that video. There is no way, no shot that you guys have no clue what your job level is. But also to the 148 of you who are in 90 to 100% overall job level experience. And also to the 8 of you that are in 1 to 10%. Don't worry, didn't forget about you. Keep working. Keep working hard. If a lot of us are spending this much time building, how many plots we got? Answer, not a lot. 2 to 4. I built so much, but I also only have 4 plots because I need to be recycling my money and also my Bloxburg. I don't want to be wasting my Bloxburg. So what I'll do is I'll build, and then a couple weeks later, once I run out of plots to use, I run out of my 4 plots to use, I have to recycle back to the first one, and so I need to delete the old build. Or sometimes I'll just like build multiple builds on one plot. So like, because I have large plots, so it's like quite big. So it's like one on one side and then one on the other. Some of you have only one plot, the default plot, game passes. This kind of blew my mind. I don't think that the results on this form is representative of what Game Pass most Bloxburg players actually have, because I just don't believe that every single Game Pass has over 50% of players that has bought it. But I do think that the most popular Game Pass is multiple floors because of the amount of builders there are. And like multiple floors, it's just so evident. It's so self-explanatory. Like in multiple floors, you get to build multiple floors. What? Basement over excellent employee? No way. There's no way. Oh, I guess maybe to like trap people. But I have always said since day one that excellent employee should be the #1 Game Pass you buy. I am surprised that it is 4th out of the 8 Game Passes. Okay, premium's like not that good, that makes sense. Marvelous Mood and Transform Plus, those are a bit newer, so it makes sense that there's like such a big jump from these older Game Passes to these newer ones. And then 68% of you are just playing Bloxburg verbatim, no Game Passes. I'm surprised so many people have advanced placing, because obviously it's a good Game Pass. When I first started playing Bloxburg, I was kind of confused on what advanced placing did. Like, I didn't understand how it was that good. And with that, I also calculated how many Game Passes people have. I did the very idiotic move of not just asking people in the forum. So what I had to do is I had to learn how to Google Sheet code, which let me tell you, as someone who has no experience coding, not easy. I had to do a lot of research, a lot of ChatGPTs and all the Geminis, but guess what? I figured it out because it's here today in the presentation. So most people got 8 Game Passes. Again, I don't think that if 40% of people in all of Bloxburg actually have all 8 Game Passes, that would be ridiculous. In the context of this form, it obviously is true because a lot of people doing my forum are hardcore fans. And then it just kind of goes down the list except for 0, which is all the way up here. And then I asked people if they owned a neighborhood. I want to mention, because this question has my highest number of responses, 737, which for context, I have 741 responses. That's only 4 people that didn't respond, because I put every question as optional, because I would check every day to make sure that the form was working, what the responses I got and stuff like that. And for the first couple of days, I got every single response on this neighborhood ownership question. I'm like, wow, people are really invested in this neighborhood ownership question. Like, they really want to respond to this one. And then I checked, and it's the one question that I put as required. I don't know why, I might have just like accidentally clicked it. Most people do not own a neighborhood. Some people use it for private. Very, very little people use it for public use. For context, most people who did this form did it before the neighborhood update, where you can browse through neighborhoods and turn on voice chat and that kind of stuff. I also asked people if they own the color wheel. Most people, in fact, do. 60% of you. Like 600 Bloxburg, in my mind, it's quite expensive, which makes sense that 33% of you don't have it because you probably don't have 600 blocks. And there's 46 of you who are just a little behind. I'm not gonna say dumb, even though I did write it in the form. A little behind, a little slow. So if you're one of the 46 people, or just another random person who doesn't know what the color wheel is, doesn't know what the heck I'm talking about, when when you're building, you know how you can choose what color you want each object to be, each wall to be, whatever? For the longest time, you could only choose select colors that Bloxburg has prearranged. But around a year ago, we got a color wheel update, and you had to spend 600 Bloxbucks to access this color wheel. And this color wheel, basically you can select any color from the 16 million colors in the world. So that's the color wheel. I hope that next year, this number goes down. Because I'm trying to smarter you guys. I'm trying to make sure that you know what the color wheel is. Subscriptions. I'm talking Bloxburg subscriptions. Like the ones that give you a certain amount of money and Bloxbucks each month. 97% of you know how to use your money because you do not have subscriptions. I don't know if they're worth it or not. I know previously I have said that I think the subscriptions are worth it even though I don't have them, but most people agree with me that they don't think it's worth it, so maybe it's not anymore. And there's 18 of you who are spending money every single month to pay out to Bloxburg. Can't believe that there's more essential currency pack buyers than mini currency pack buyers, because mini is less money but obviously gives you less things. To the 18 of you or anyone else here who has bought the currency pack, why did you buy it? I'm not judging. I'm just out of curiosity. Why did you buy it? Like, what made you buy it? Because there's 716 of us who do not think it's worth it. And so maybe, you should reconsider. But I'm telling you right now, Coffee Stain does not need any more money. They have enough. You don't need to be paying however much money it is a month to support them. They have money. This is for you. If you don't think it's worth it, don't get it. Once in a while, Bloxburg will have events like the elf hunt. And right now there's like a Halloween event going on. So how often do you participate in it? Most people, sometimes. Sometimes, mostly and always, we're the top answers. Rarely and never, not much. So, most people are participating in some kind of events, which is nice. So you know the little name tags on top of your head? Yeah, those. I asked people what name tags they like to have. Here it is. Most people have early Bloxburger or premium name tag, which makes sense because those are default ones. If you have premium, by default, you'll have the premium name tag. And if you have Bloxburg before it went free, then by default, you have the early Bloxburger ones. But let's look all the way at the bottom. No one, basically no one, wants to be a child, grandparent, parent, or relative. Which these are all roleplay related name tags, and as we established, there's not a whole lot of role players, so this makes sense. And you're probably looking at the very, very bottom, and you're like, DAMCC, what the heck is that? As you may or may not know, there's a name tag for certain groups of people. These are exclusive name tags because D stands for developer, A stands for admin, M stands for moderator, C stands for contributor, and the other C stands for content creator. These are exclusive ones. Not everyone has access to these name tags, and that's why that's in the bottom, and that's why not many people have them because they're exclusive. I'm surprised that name tags off is the fourth most popular answer because by default, name tags are on. So so many people decided they care about name tags that much, or I guess they don't care about name tags that much, that they have to go manually to settings to turn it off. And then I asked people to rate each job, which you probably already know which jobs are the top two. Delivery person and fast food worker. This is a little surprising because I thought that fast food worker would rate higher than delivery person. I personally like the fast food worker more because number one, there's more things to do, but also the entire job, the way you do the job is just more satisfying than delivery person because the environment that you're in, the kitchen, it's so cute, and all the GUIs, it's also very cute, makes me happier. But what doesn't make me happy is the hairdresser. Oh my gosh, I 100% agree with everyone here because I hate the hairdresser job because it's so redundant. It's just click, 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 click. But you can't look away. With delivery person, it's redundant because you just keep on delivering and driving. But at least you can look away as you're driving. You can watch YouTube, you can watch Netflix or something. Hairdresser, you have to keep on looking at your screen to find the hair. And if you, guess what? Oh my gosh, I just thought of this. Oh my god. If you miss the hairstyle, I don't remember if you can go back. If you can't, then I hate it even more because then you have to just keep on clicking until it comes back again. I also hate mechanic. At this point, I don't remember really what the job is because I haven't done it so long, but whatever it is, I just remember hating it. So it can't be good. How much do you care about skills? You know, the 8 skills that you can do? Do you actually care about them? Somewhat. Between 3, 4, and 5s. There's more 3, 4, 5s than there is 1 and 2s. But the average rating for how much people care for skills is 3.29 out of 5. So right slap down the middle, pretty much. I kind of expected this answer because people don't like to be polarizing. That's why there's not much 1s and 5s. Even if someone hates skills so much that they think it's a 1, they'll usually just say a 2 because they'll think of some reason in their brain to care for skills at least a little bit. And if people don't want to think that much, they'll just pick an answer that's in the middle, which is 3, which is why most people will select 3. Who do you guys like watching other than me? Because I know a lot of people who are my viewers will just try to please me and say Tessilyn, which I don't, if you like me and if I'm your favorite content creator, I am so honored. But statistically, for most people, I am not. And so I said this in the forum, right? And remember, I also posted this forum on Reddit. People on Reddit, they could not care less who I am. They don't know who I am. So when they got this question, I saw a lot of responses were like, I don't know who you are, but my favorite is blah, blah, blah. Or like, definitely not Tessilyn, but it's blah, blah, blah. I'm like, sure, like, I wasn't expecting it to be me, but also the way you said that was a little tiny bit rude. With that being said, let's see who your favorite content creators are. Alaska Violet, number 1. 147 of you. That is 1/6 of everyone who answered the question, which Alaska Violet posts pretty much every day. Has the highest sub count out of all Bloxburg content creators. Peter Brett, number 2, he also posts a ton. And then number 3 is don't watch. A lot of you just don't watch Bloxburg content creators. Oh yeah, I want to clarify this. Blox Hub and PLT. PLT is Panda Lemon Tart. I just shortened it because I didn't have space. By the way, this is not all the answers that people said. This is just like the top 15 or whatever number is here. I can't believe Annix is on the list. Annix has not posted in 2 years. I guess he is in like franchises and faulty content. But still, like, is he still a content creator at this point? I also asked you guys for confessions. This does not have to be Bloxburg related. I just wanted to know your confessions for me. I just want to know what you guys did. This is just like, I had the opportunity to do so, so I did. This has nothing to do with the Bloxburg. I got 449 responses, which is more than half because 700 responses, 400 for the confession is more than I was expecting. So a lot of you guys have a lot to confess to me. This video only has a couple of the confessions. I might put all the confessions in a Google Doc so that you guys can read all the confessions from people because they're all anonymous anyways. And also if you did a forum, you might be able to find yours. There's a lot of them. There's 400 of them, so you got to look through, but you know, if you did a forum, it's definitely on there. So let's read some. I also, in the forum, I didn't say that this was going to be read out loud, so I hope they're okay with it. This is all anonymous, by the way. So when I was a kid, I feel like I have to sound like them. When I was a kid, like 5 to 7 or something, I peed in a cup so I could experience what hospital patients go through. Oh my gosh, I have a story. But I remember I hated these so much. I was scared to go to the doctor because I didn't want to pee in a cup. Every single time, I was so nervous that I could not have peed. Like, I have no pee to pee. I'm also scared that I'm gonna miss the cup. I'm gonna pee, and none of the pee is gonna go in the cup. And I have to pee again, but I have no more pee. So what am I supposed to do? Check behind you. Ah! Okay, I think we're good. I kind of lied about this entire thing. You know what? You're probably not the only one. I got a video out of it anyways, so you do you. Oh, okay, here's a long one. Okay, here's a story. Wait, I have to sound like them. Okay, here's a story. When I was 10, there was this boy in my 5th grade class and I was obsessed with him. So one day at lunch, I was talking with my friends and this boy I had a crush on, we'll call him Carson. So Carson had a crush on a girl we'll call Laura. I hated Laura. Mostly because I was jealous, but also because she was mean. Carson and Laura were talking and my friend decided it would be fun to tease me and ask me if I shipped them. I started banging on the table and screaming I hated them. Then the entire class got involved and asked me if I shipped Carson with all these other random girls, and I would bang on the table and say I hated them and run around screaming. I was quite the child. Did that sound like them? People like this, look, I would never do this because I'm quite the shy person. However, people like this, I kind of like you because you keep the class interesting. I feel like we can all agree school is so boring. But people like you make the class entertaining, and I'm excited to go to class because of you. So if this is you, thank you. More confessions. Pooping right now. Okay. Glad you're honest. I build Bloxburg when I poo. Okay. A lot of poos. This is good because we're doing our daily poos. So good for you, because I definitely do not poo every single day, but also I definitely don't drink enough water, so it would make sense. I'm glad you're staying healthy and you're doing your poos. One time I shorted my pants at Home. What is with people and their poo stories? One time I shorted my pants at Home Depot and my parents saw the poop stain and we had to go home because everyone was whispering about me. See, I feel like that part's a lie because really, like if you're at Home Depot, everyone there is like in their 50s. No one cares. One time I was like 6 and I pooped on the kitchen floor. You know what? Also glad you're doing your daily poo. You probably don't want to do it on the kitchen floor in the near future, but at least you're getting it out of your system, right? My secret is my love for you, Poogie. Whoa! Is it getting hot in here or what? You're my celebrity. Am I blushing? Hey, you know what? call me. I genuinely prefer the toilet paper facing the wall. No, see, that's where you have crossed the line. That's where it gets criminal. Because why? Because look, if this is the toilet paper roll and this is like the part where the paper comes out, if this is the wall and this is your toilet paper, how you like get to, dig into the wall almost to get it. If this way, but it's like right here, you're sitting right here, it's like easy to get it out, I know my dad cheated. I hope your mom is okay. I also hope your dad is okay. And most importantly, I hope you are okay. And on that note, we shall find out if you are average. So here's how it's gonna work. So, first of all, subscribe. That's how it's gonna work first. First of all, you subscribe, then we figure out how it works. Now that you subscribed, so this is how you're gonna calculate your averageness. So we look through all the data, and I did a lot of calculating for this video, and I calculated the average of every single question that I did. And so the next page has the results for each question. If your answer is within this big box, because this big box is gonna have whatever the average is, then you get 1 point. If your answer is within the pretty average range, so this is gonna have a tiny range around the average, and if you fit within that range, then you get 0.75 points. If your answer falls around the kind of average range, so this is going to be a bigger range around the average, then you get 0.5 points. If your answer does not fit in any of these categories, then you get a big fat 0. There's also going to be results that look like this, where it's going to be just one box, and if you fit in that box, then you get 1 point. If you do not categorize yourself as within whatever that box says, then you get 0 points. I know this all sounds really confusing. Once we get to the next page and we have the actual numbers, it'll make a lot more sense. But basically, the total of all of these numbers is 38 points. So if you happen to get 38 out of 38, you are the most average person average can possibly get. You might even be unique at this point because of how average you are. Let's look through the actual numbers. So, for the demographics, the average age of everyone who did this form is 14.5 years old. So if you are exactly 14 and a half years old, then you get 1 point. If you're within 13.7 years old to 15.3 years old, then you get 0.75 points. If you're kind of average, so anywhere between 13 to 16 years old, then you get 0.5 points. So that's how that works. I hope that made sense. If it didn't, you can comment and maybe I'll answer, maybe someone else will answer, and then you can recalculate and watch this video again. For the gender, most people are female. So if you are a female, then you get 1 point. If you are a male, you get 0 points. I hate to break it to all the males out there. That's just what the statistics are. If your pronouns are she, her, you also get 1 point. If it's anything else, I hate to break it to you, but you get a big fat 0. If your sexual orientation is straight, then you get 1 point. That's just what the numbers say. I don't make the rules. I just deliver them. If you are from the country of the United States, then you get 1 point. And if you live in the country of the United States and you're from the state of California, you get 1 point. If you're from Texas or Florida, you get 0.75 points. If you're from Georgia or New York, you get 0.5 points. These are the 5 most populated cities of Bloxburg players according to my form. Okay, moving on. Do you play? If you play Bloxburg, which should be all of you because you're watching this video, then good for you. You get a free 1 point. If you have played Bloxburg for exactly 4.2 years, which I'm going to calculate the month for you, so you don't have to do it. Just give me a second. Okay, I did the calculations. If you have played Bloxburg for 4 years and 2 months or 3 months, then you get 1 point here. If you're any of these other ranges, then you get 0.75 or 0.5 points. If you spend an average of around 3.6 hours a week playing Bloxburg, then you get 1 point. Everything else, you know how this works now. Now for time distributions, this is the percentage of time you spent doing each thing. 56%. Okay, this is a weird average because it's hard to tell how exactly the percentage of time you spend building. But if you think it's pretty much around 56%, give yourself a point. If you spent around 32% of your time working, give yourself a point. If you spend around 10% role playing, then give yourself a point. It's obviously, it's hard to calculate these. If you think you're spending somewhere between, let's say, 30 to 35% working, then I'd say that you can give yourself 1 point. Your building habits. I don't know how to word this. In hindsight, building habits sounds a tiny bit weird. But if your building habits say that you build mostly residentials, or at least you build residentials, you don't have to mostly build residentials, but you build residentials at all, then you give yourself 1 point. And if you don't build residentials, if you build commercial buildings, you get 0.75 points. If you don't build residentials or commercial buildings, but you do in fact build multiple buildings, remember that is like the towns and that's all I can think of right now, the towns, then you get 0.5 points. If you have exactly $776,350 in Bloxburg right now, you get a full point. I feel like I should have made this a range. If you're around that, I'd say give yourself a point. But if you're around that but closer to these numbers, then give yourself 0.75 points. And you know how the rest works. Same with Bloxburg. If you're somewhere around 1,181 Bloxburg, I'd say give yourself a point. If your overall job level experience is exactly 60, if you have no clue what your job level is, because apparently a lot of you don't, then you get, oh, why is there 2? Okay, then you get pretty average. Ignore that. Wait, I'm gonna fix it. Okay, if you have no clue what your job level is, then you give yourself 0.75 points. Otherwise, or not otherwise, if you're between 54 to 66 job level, then you get 0.5 points. If you have a total of 4 plots on your account, then you get 1 point. And you know how the rest works, 3 to 5, 3 to 6. Okay, these both say 3 because that's just how it calculated. Because the actual number of plots is like 4.3 or something. But I just rounded to 4 because you can't have 4.3 plots. And so because of that number, the way you calculate it, it's just like both averages or 3s. For game passes, if you have the multiple for a game pass, then you can just ignore the rest of it. If you have the multiple for a game pass at all, even if you have other ones, then you get yourself 1 point. If you don't have the multiple for a game pass, but you do in fact have advanced placing or basement, the commas or, if you have either of these, then you get 0.75. And if you don't have multiple for advanced placing or basement, but you have excellent employee or large plot, then you get 0.5 points. If you have a total game pass of somewhere between 5 to 6, see this one I was smart, see this one I did a range, I don't know what I was thinking. So you have 5 to 6, you got 1 point, and you know how the rest works. Okay, and if you do not own a neighborhood, because most people don't, then you get 1 point. If you do in fact own a neighborhood, you get no points. I feel like I'm doing a game show. If you in fact own the color wheel, then you get 1 big point. Well, I'm not saying this one's like bigger than the other ones, but you get 1 point. If you do not own any Blox restrictions, you get 1 point. I feel like a lot of people don't know what Blox restrictions are. In my form, I should probably write, I don't know what that is. Similar to what I did the color wheel, like when I said I gave an option saying I'm a little dumb, I don't know what that is. I feel like I should have done the same to the subscriptions because I feel like some people don't know what that is. More people don't know what subscriptions are than the color wheel, so I should have added that. I'll add that next year. I'll remember. If you consider yourself as someone who sometimes participate in events, you get 1 point. If you're mostly, 0.75. If always, then 0.5. For the name tags, if you have the little name tag on top of your head that says Early Bloxburger, you get 1 point. And job ratings. This is where, if you're on a streak right now and you're getting a lot of 1-pointers, this might be where your points go down because people are very different about their job ratings. Delivery person, most people rated a 4 out of 5. And also, for pretty averages, there's only 0.75s for this one. There's no 0.5s for this one because 0.5 is just like the whole entire scale. So if you rate a delivery person a 4, then you get 1 point. If you rate it between a 3 to a 5, but not a 4, so a 3 or a 5, then you get 0.75. And other than that, you get no points. And these are the rest of it. So fast food worker is also 4, stalker is 2.5. See, there's no 3s and 3.5s. Like after delivery person and fast food worker, everything else from there just goes downhill. So stalker, cashier, and pizza baker, those are 2.5s. And those are the pretty averages, the 2 to 3s. And then everything else, so if you're rated between a 1 and 3, which I'm guessing is most people, then you get 0.75 points. If you care for skills, a total of 3 out of 5 stars, or like ratings, or whatever you want to call them, then you get 1 point. If you're 2 to 4, then you get 0.75 points. If your favorite content creator is Alaska Violet, then you get 1 point. If you like pita bread, but you don't watch Alaska Violet. So that like, if this is only if this doesn't apply to you. So if you don't watch Alaska Violet, but you do watch pita bread, then you get 0.75. If you do not watch Bloxburg content creators, then you also get 0.75 points. And you're kind of average if any of these do not apply to you, but you do in fact watch Robuild or French Roses. So that's how that works. I hope that made sense. I hope you're calculating because now I'm going to need you to comment your average and a score. And then I'm going to do mine so you get to know my average and a score because the whole reason I did this is for me. So that's the most important for me. I care about your average score because I want to know how I compare to you. Really, I care about my average score. But before we get to that, the most average person to do my form, I looked through all 741 responses. Well, really, I filtered, so I didn't really have to look through them. The most average person got a total of 28.25 out of 38 points, which is lower than I thought. But also, like I said, no one's gonna get a full 38 points. That is crazy. So out of 741 people, this is the most average person I could find. If your score is higher than 28.25, number one, recalculate because chances are you did it wrong. But if your number is truly over 28.25, you are so ununique, you might be boring. And if you're wondering what kind of stats this person has, these are their responses. For context, NHOOD is neighborhood, I just have space, subs is subscriptions, CC is content creator. And if you did the form and all this seems to apply to you and you remember doing this form, this might be you. And if you're thinking, oh my gosh, this might be me, which there should only be one of you. You did this form on September 29th, 3:40 p.m. So if you remember doing this form on September 29th at 3:40, you're the most average person out of 741 people. So congratulations. I don't know if that's good or bad to you, but that's your number. You're number one. So now we figure out who is the most average. But really, the most important part is here. Am I average? Because that is the most important part. I'm just here for me. I want to know if I'm average because that's all I care about. I'm selfish. So let's look at the age. I'm between 13 to 16 years old, unfortunately. I don't want to be average. But I am unfortunately 16 years old. Which in a month I won't be. I'll be 17 in a month. So if I did this a month later, this wouldn't be the case. But sadly, I'm doing this now, so it's okay. Okay, I am in fact female. My pronouns are she, her, and I am in fact straight. I am from the country of the United States. For my state, I'm not going to say what state I live in, but I am in fact born in New York, so that gives me at least 0.5 points, unfortunately. Okay. I do in fact play Bloxburg. Okay, this one's a fun one because I calculated how long I've been playing Bloxburg and I thought it was around this range. I thought it was around 4 years, but I did the calculations and right now it is October 2024. I started playing Bloxburg in January 2020. So it's like almost 5 years. I did the calculations and it is 4.8 years. I know, 4.8 years. We're just out of the kind of average range. Oh, so close. But the important thing is that I'm not kind of average, which means I don't get a point here. Woo for me. Okay, so I don't know how much time I spent on Bloxburg. I know I spent a lot of time thinking about Bloxburg because I make Bloxburg content, but within Bloxburg, I don't know how much time I'm spending within it. Like it could be 0, but I'm thinking about Bloxburg a lot. Or it could be like 24 because I'm building. Time distributions. I said I'm not any of these because I spent most of my time building. You guys donate a lot of money to me, so I don't have to work. I'm very grateful that I don't have to work, so it's probably lower than 25. And then I don't roleplay at all, so that's like 0. For building habits, I do in fact build residentials. I also build commercial buildings. I don't usually build multiple buildings, but I do build residentials, so that gives me 1 point. And I'm one of those people. I don't know exactly how much Bloxburg cash I have, but I know it's within 2.7 million and 3.1 million. Or maybe it's 2.6 million. Somewhere between 2.5 and 3.5. I know that for sure. And Bloxbucks, I think I have 3,000. So that also does not put me in the range, which is good. Job level. I am level 93 or 94. Somewhere there, so not within that range, and I have a total of 4 plots, which puts me right down, smack down in the average, unfortunately. I, in fact, have all the game passes. I am one of those people who have all 8 game passes, so I do, in fact, have multiple floors, and I have all 8 game passes, which puts me kind of average. I do, in fact, own a neighborhood, so I get no point there. I do own the color wheel, and I do not own any subscriptions, so that also gives me 1 point. I sometimes participate in events, and I do not use any of those name tags. I'm usually in my neighborhood, which means I'm using that neighborhood host name tag, which is not in any of these, so that gives me no point. For job ratings, I got a lot of 0.75 on these. I rate delivery person and fast food worker as a 5. Okay, so I like fast food worker more, but I wouldn't say that I like it so much so as delivery person to be a 4. Like, I like them both. Fast food worker is like 5.1. Stalker 2.5. I'd say that's like around right. And it's like, you know, it's okay. Like I don't hate them as much as I hate hairdresser. Cashier. Oh my gosh, I rate that a 1. I have no clue how to do that job. I'd say a 3. Janitor a 2. I mean, it's kind of fun when you finally find a little thing to sweep. So it's a 2. Seller, it's boring. It's a 1. Mine are, so I'd say like somewhere between, it's either a 1 or a 3 for me. So maybe that's a 2. I'd say 1.5 because most of the time there's not enough TNTs. If there's more TNTs, a 2 or maybe even a 3. But right now there's not enough TNTs for it to be a 2 or a 3. So it's a 1.5 for me. The 0.5 comes from the fact that there are TNTs. Fisherman, that is a 2. Woodcutter, that is a 1 for me. It is repetitive and boring and I don't like it. Mechanic is a 1 and hairdresser is a 1. If I might as well be a 0. It's like a 0.5. My care for skills. I'd say my care for skills is a 4 because there's one point in my life a couple months ago, or probably a year ago at this point, where I grinded skills so hard. Like I maxed out every single skill. There's only one skill right now where I have not maxed out, and that's a cooking skill because that took way too long. So when I finally find the time to do it, I will max out. But other than that, every other skill is maxed. So I will say I care about skills a little more than the average person, like a 4 or a 5, maybe even 4.5. And as for content creators, I'd say I don't really watch Bloxburg content. Well, okay, so I watch a little bit of everyone, so I don't really know who's my favorite. But I'd say I watch so little to the point where like I don't like most of my YouTube is not Bloxburg. I'd say none of my YouTube is Bloxburg right now. Like once in a blue moon, maybe I'll see a Bloxburg video, but other than that, everything else. So now that we know my numbers, my average-ness score. Remember, the most average person on my list is 28.25. And my average-ness score, and I'm aiming for a low here. I do not want to be average. I'm aiming for 0, but obviously it's not 0. My average-ness score is 23.38. 23 points too high. Why am I so average? I'm so boring. That's like 5 points away from the most average person. It's not even that much. Am I really that average? This is so sad. Maybe most people fall within the 23 to 28 range, which is why I'm gonna need you to comment your average-ness score so that I know that 23 is hopefully a low score. So I really hope so. I want to be different. Okay, speaking of difference, these are the differences I'm gonna make in the future. I know, such a good transition. In the future, because remember, I want to do this every year. I'm gonna change years played to 9 now because in a year, Bloxburg is going to be public for 9 years, so I have to change that. Oh yeah, I wanted to add what device you play on, because whenever I first thought of this, I remember thinking about that, and then I forgot about it when I was making the form, and so I just never added it. But I'm putting this here so that next year when I look back at this slide, I'm going to know to ask what device you play on. And then, oh yeah, because voice chat's a thing now, I'm also going to ask if you use voice chat. When I made this form, it wasn't a thing. Bloxburg changes way too fast. So next year I'm going to add that. And then, oh yeah, how did you find Bloxburg? I wanted to ask that before, like when I first thought of the idea. Also forgot about it, so didn't add it, but I'm gonna remember to add it now. And then, oh yeah, where did you find the survey? This is kind of like a me thing. I just want to know where people find it, because I know a lot of people found it on Reddit this time, but I don't know the exact number, and I want to know if my speculations are correct. Oh yeah. And then also add about any future updates, because in a year, there's going to be probably a lot of Bloxburg updates. So I'm going to have to add those changes to my questions. Click here to subscribe, then click here to find out who is better, Coffee Stain or Coeptus. See you there.